Salome. So Salome, it's Christina Reeves. Today I'm going to talk about David Liebe Hart again, because I haven't talked about David in a while, because I've really been trying to I've not been trying to avoid David. I haven't been calling him. And I don't know if he is not able to call me or just hasn't, or Jonah has bribed him or threatened him to not call me, because he used to call me like all the time, like daily or multiple times a day. And ever since Jonah and apparently Vera Drew have been, they're jealous for some reason. Well, I know what reason, because they're exploiting David, and I stand up for David, and I'm like, why do you let them do that? You know, and I'm not the only one. There are tons of fans and friends of his that try to help him, and they chase them all off, or they threaten David, or they bribe David or trick David into, you know, not listening to them. It's like an abusive relationship, seriously. And David feels like he can't get away from him, and everyone who tries to help him get away they attack and they sabotage, and they do everything they can to try to get David to not listen to that person or not let that person help them. And if he won't do it, then they start threatening him or that person, which happens to be me in this instance, but it's been so many others before me. And David's told me this. And for the longest time, I even defended Jonah. When David would tell me these things, I didn't believe him because it was so bad. And I thought, this can't be real. Like, David just misunderstands things or something. But I, you know, worked with David I was working with Jonah before I was working with David. And then David started telling me, please send me the money, because Jonah doesn't send me the money when he says he's going to send it to you. Jonah claims that they do things half and half. Now, if Jonah is supposedly David's manager, he should not be taking that much money from David. He should be 10%. He should not be making half. That's a business partnership. He's not David's manager. Okay, he is self-proclaiming as that. And in California, you have to have a license because of these very situations that David is in, where people ruin somebody's career, which David's career is not doing well at all. David is living in serious poverty, and I can vouch for it. I can show proof and evidence in a court of law. He has been experiencing really dire circumstances since I have known him, and it's gotten even worse and worse. And I even used to stick up for Jonah to David, and believed all the lies that Jonah kept spinning, that and he kept trying to say that David is mentally ill and crazy and apparently, you know, a compulsive liar and lies about everything. No, it's the other way around. Jonah is the one that lies about everything. I've caught him in so many lies. I've never caught David in a lie. I've caught David in misunderstanding sometimes, but never a lie, because David is so moral of character. He is against lying. He has the conscience. It bothers him to lie. So, and he has been dealing with this guy for years. And before that, it was Adam Papagan. And I used to be friends with Adam Papagan for a minute there, but it was only just like Jonah was seeing if maybe I could, you know, I'm just right there. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer kind of situation is my interest in David and friendship with David. As long as it's not hurting them, they'll allow it. And especially if they think they can manipulate or use me for their purposes when they try to use David. But I'm a defector, And I'm like, no, David, this is wrong. You know, you can't put up with this. And I've done so many things to help him. And everything that I do, Jonah comes back and tries to sabotage it. Jonah and Vera Drew, the creative director for I Love David. She, it, I swear it's crazy because we kind of look alike. If I were a man, that's what I would probably look like. It's weird. I think she's jealous of me because I'm a real woman and I'm a real friend of David's. And me and him were working together, not hurting anything that they're doing. If anything, I would have been a friend to help them just so long as David is really getting paid and David's really getting what he's supposed to be getting, because he is being treated like shit by Jonah, and he's stealing his money and he's stealing all his he uses his puppet to make these horrible videos that David's against, that is completely goes against David's morals, about suicide and heroin, because apparently David kept telling me that he is got a heroin addiction going on, and I'm like, David, surely no. But he put up a video about heroin where Chip's promoting heroin. And then before that, or after that, I don't know which was first. But the suicide video, I feel like that was directed at me because this guy, he's my ex-boyfriend, but I mean, we still cared about each other, I still love them. Okay. So, and he committed suicide in 2020, and Jonah found out about it through David apparently. And I think made a video to hurt my feelings, saying to commit suicide. Like, I guess maybe hinting I should commit suicide, or he's just hinting we should all, perhaps. I don't know, but David wants me to tell everyone that he does not promote these things. He doesn't have any control over all that stuff that goes on that channel for David Liebe Hart. And I didn't realize Jonah claims that he's not making money, but I just looked it up. And according to what I just looked it up, he's making a lot of money. And no wonder he's so controlling over David. He is making so much money exploiting David and using that channel to gain clout for himself, using David's image and puppets and taking that money. And David is living in extreme poverty. I had to help him claim his retirement early because he has no sources of income. I've had to help him apply for welfare, music cares. It is truly by the grace of God and the support of others, despite Jonah, that he's been able to survive, is how it is. And I just looked up to see how much he could possibly be making, and it was way more than I even imagined. And I'm infuriated by it. I haven't talked to David in a while because Jonah stresses him out, because I have done a lot to set him back. And so he's, doing everything he can to, at this point, he has just blackmailed David and is threatening to take down all of his stuff. And David thinks that he has no way to make any other money except through Jonah. And that's so not true. David just doesn't understand how to use the internet and how to use basic social media. And so I've been doing my best to kind of learn it my own self, because I wanted to learn it for myself, to do my own personal expression and put stuff out there creatively for myself. But David needs it more than I do. So I've been, really just focusing on learning how to do YouTube so that I can help David do this for himself, or do it for him and make sure that he gets the money he's supposed to be getting, and can see the transparency of what's happening and have control over what's happening, and it's his, and he has people working for him, not him working for them, and them having all the control over him, because he lives in constant fear of that. And so I just think everybody should know that if you're supporting that channel at all, I think you should unsubscribe and demand that be taken down and put back or given back into the hands of David Liebe Hart himself, or whoever he designates and hires with a contract that he can take back control at any time if they don't do what he wants. You know what I'm saying? He needs his fans to stand behind him if they want to see the real, authentic David Liebe Hart, or else you're just going to keep seeing all this puppetry that Jonah gives you. That is not, you are not getting enough of the real David Liebe Hart. That you could be getting way more of David Liebe Hart for free, and David would just be making the money off his own channel. But that's not what's happening. Jonah's making all the money, and you're barely getting any glimpses of the real David, and it's all filtered through Jonah. You are not getting anything that David says that Jonah doesn't approve of. And him and Barra Drew have ganged up on me because because I've been helping David. I got into this first helping Jonah, thinking I was helping the both of them because he was helping David. And finally, David got me realizing, well, Jonah's own actions, but after Jonah's constant pleading that I would just send him the money instead. Because I thought, if it's his manager, I really need to be sending him the money because he's managing things. You know what I'm saying? And I'm the one that I originally worked things out with him to have a show with him originally. And that's how I got to know David and all that. And I thought we were friends. I genuinely liked him as a person, and I thought we were genuinely friends. But David kept telling me, no, he's a snake in the grass. He is, and he doesn't really pay him the money like he tells everyone. And Jonah's really good at acting like this good guy that is just helping David out. And like David is just so helpless that he has to come in and save David. And David's got a lot of problems, and he does literally need help and support more than probably the average person, because he really doesn't have people, and he's got some trauma issues and things, and he's elderly now. He's got issues with seeing. He's struggling right now, and he does need some extra help. I would like to make enough money for him to have a full-time caretaker. I'm willing to be his full-time caretaker for free, but I got to get down there, and I got to be able to support myself to do that, and that's something that I'm actually working on. I plan on doing, but I've got to get my ducks in a row to be able to do that and make sure, that's what David wants. Because whether it's me or somebody else, he needs somebody that is trustworthy that can help him on a daily basis. It's that bad. He's struggling. And he should not be struggling financially the way he is, especially living in poverty the way he has been. If that channel is making as much money as I believe that it is, over $300,000 a year, and David's not seeing that. He is not getting that at all. Jonah throws him a bone every now and then, and David claims that it's because he's got a drug problem. And now I believe it, that he is probably spending it on heroin, or whatever he does. And I'm a libertarian. I think that should be legal. If that's what you want to do it. I think it should be legal so we can at least make sure we're getting it from safe places if you're going to do something like that. But if you're funding your habit off of exploiting David works for him for free. David is lucky if Jonah sends him half, and he says he sends him half of everything. No, he does not. And he is constantly even if he sends David money, they have a joint bank account that he sends it through, and he takes it right back. David tells me these things. He is constantly telling me these things. So, you know, I just noticed that Jonah's up to his shenanigans, and he's got some kind of thing that he's doing, some event, and it's do what you want. But I would recommend, if you really want to support David, I will get you in touch with David yourself and make sure he gets the money if you want to support David, okay? But if you do anything that Jonah is doing, it is not going to David. I promise you, it is, I believe, funding his habit, his heroin addiction. But if that's not the case, because if that's just a rumor and it's not true, maybe not. I have reasons to believe it is. Just certain things. I have reason to believe that probably David is probably not mistaken on that. He claims that Jonah's admitted it lots of times, but says he only does it on his birthday and special occasions. Okay. My father was a heroin addict. My brother, I hope he is clean now, has struggled with that. A lot of people that I love have died. I've never done it because I'm scared to death of it, because I know what it does to people. And there's no such thing as I do it every once in a while on my birthday and weekends. If you do it on your birthday and weekends, you just do it as much as you can when you can. And it's expensive habit. So somebody's funding it. And he doesn't have a normal job that I know of. And I do know he lives with his parents. So he probably doesn't have rent or anything like that. But that's what is going on. And I've been keeping it to myself because David's asked me to. But David hasn't been calling me lately. And that's the only reason I was doing it. I was keeping it to myself because at least I could keep making sure. Well, I mean, I could call him and talk to him right now and everything would probably be fine. But if he says something or hurts my feelings or tells me he's scared to tell the truth of what's going on and letting Jonah get away with this, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I will just go over his head and do the right thing because he is not in his right mind. He's in an abusive relationship, and this man in this white boy is exploiting it. And he's been doing it for at least 8 years, and it's got to stop or David's going to die. David needs at least 8 hours a day, someone coming in and helping him with his daily functions. I'm just telling you from my experience talking to David, as often, as frequently as he needs me to make calls for him and do things for him that are extremely, extremely personal, that he should not trust a stranger, which he doesn't see me as a stranger. I'm thankful for, but it's sad that he has to reach out to someone that it's not his family, is just a fan that happens to be trustworthy, but I could not be trustworthy and I could have exploited him. And he trusted me, and that blesses my heart so much. And I love him so much. And I've tried to hold back because I feel like the more I agitate Jonah by meddling, even though Jonah asked me to, all I originally wanted was just to be of service to David as a fan. I love him. I just want to see him putting his more stuff out there so I can enjoy it, and have whatever I need to do to make that happen. I'm willing to do at all, as much as at all possible. And it just getting to know Jonah, I realized Jonah was just using me to be his minion to do his work for him. And because he's a shitty manager and he has no legal right to be a manager, because you are supposed to have a license in California. And the reason that they have that is so that people like Jonah can't exploit actors and ruin their careers. And what I told David this, and I'm not sure if he believes me, but this is, you can look it up and you can Google it. There's a law about that in California that you have to have a talent license or be working under a licensed agency in order to be anyone's entertainment manager of any kind. And if they are acting as a manager of any kind, David has the right to sue him for everything he's made from off of David, and also makes him liable for damage to his career that he could blame on Jonah. And I can vouch for, because I've seen it my own self working with them. I worked with Jonah longer than I worked with David. And the only reason of that is because in order to work with David, I had to work with Jonah. I mean, and there was a constant battle between us until finally Jonah took over the shop, the Etsy shop that was funding, that I was using to fund David. I was paying for myself the advertisements and all that. So if it didn't pay for itself when the first few months, it didn't even pay for itself. And I had to pay, I had to pay for that out of my own self, but I was doing it because I couldn't afford to support David through Jonah and all his gimmicky stuff, but I wanted to support David. So I thought, well, I know I can do, like, I could at least set him up an Etsy account and help them sell their stuff. I got started making money, and I think Jonah was surprised at that. And eventually also, and I stopped sending the money to Jonah to split with David. Instead, I started splitting it myself because there was a big fight over it. And Jonah acted like a baby and demanded to quit if David didn't stop working with me. And so David had to secretly work with me. And it's not fair to me to do that to me. He keeps throwing me under the bus. And I know it's because Jonah, gives him such a hard time and stresses him out and legitimately makes him afraid. He thinks that Jonah's connected with the Jewish mafia and the Mexican cartel. He really believes this stuff. And Jonah has people prank call him and tell him all these kinds of things. Had him call him and tell him, pretend like they were my boyfriend. I don't even have a boyfriend, but he pretended to call, somebody pretended to call David, pretended to be my boyfriend, called David and threatened him not to speak to me. That's how this got started. That's why David hadn't been talking to me. I forgot. And I tried to clear that up with them, but ever since then, I still hadn't. It's because Jonah is poisoning him or threatening him or bribing him or something. Because I am breaking the spell I'm reminding David, dude, you're the one with the power here, not Jonah. He is just parasiting all of you. You could be making the money instead of him. And because David feels overwhelmed and doesn't understand how to do these things, and maybe even a little old-fashioned and kind of sexist, and thinks, I think he thinks I'm a lot younger than I actually am. And because I'm a woman, I don't know these things. He thinks of me like a kid. He does. He treats me like my dad, like the dad I never had. I love it. I love it so much. It's so pure and innocent. And it is so sweet. He even asks me, the first time I met him, he said a prayer for me that God would bring me a husband that would be a good provider and take care of me because I'm a single mom, even though both my children are grown. They're adults. But when he found out that I had children, I don't remember how he even found that out, but I said something to him anyway. That's just how thoughtful he is. Like, I didn't ask for that. I just asked for him to pray for me, and he said that because he was worried about that for me for some reason. He felt like I needed that male guidance in my life or whatever. That's so sweet. So, but he's not trying to be it. You see what I'm saying? He's more like a father figure. He doesn't date fans. He really doesn't. He has a thing about that. Now, I've never approached him in that way, and I wouldn't, because I really I honestly do have this hole in my heart for a father figure really bad. I have daddy issues. I'm not even like ashamed to admit that. I know I do. And David he is actually the same age as my dad. And I don't know how to explain it, but I have so many things in common with David, upbringing wise. And his mother was from Memphis. He has family from Memphis. His relationship with his mother is similar to my relationship with mine. And we just have a lot of similar backgrounds and beliefs. We're both libertarian. We're both Christians, but we are very eccentric Christians. We do not see things the way probably your normal, Southern Baptist or, traditional Catholic. We are, I believe in aliens. I didn't believe in aliens the way I do believe in aliens way more than I ever did because of David and the things that he tells me. And I've looked into these things. He's not just making this stuff up. There are real metaphysical science or pseudoscience to this, as some would say. Pseudoscience. Maybe it's real science. Science is just the study of nature. Okay. So it is real science. Some people are really believe, and I am now one of them, that I believe that these beings are I believe the ancient alien theory stuff. Okay. And they are going to come back. But I believe that they are the watchers that is talked about in the Old Testament, the Nephilim, and a lot of apocryphal documents and books that are not in the Bible, that were purposely left out and or weren't found until later by the Dead Sea Scrolls, that these gods and goddesses that people used to worship, it's not just stuff that they made out of their heads. These things were walking on the earth, these giants and these weird creatures that were part heavenly beings, aliens, and or in Enoch it's called the Watchers. But they have dominion and principalities over, and principalities and powers is what it talks about in the canonical ordinary Bible or Old Testament, the Torah or whatever, that the Jews study. And also the 12 zodiac signs. Those are all the 12 watchers that rule over those signs. It's real. It's all these different religions have, even in our astronomy and astrology. If it weren't for astrology, there would be no astronomy. That didn't separate until way later. They were one and the same back in the day. Alchemy and astrology were a part of science back before it, in the days of Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton studied alchemy and astrology, and that was just a part of his science background, because people were coming outside of that thought. In fact, I think it might have been forbidden at that time, but he certainly studied it. It's scrolled all in his books and stuff, the different signs and all this stuff having to do with astrology. All of this, everything on the earth has been constructed like a giant moving automaton, kind of, if that makes sense, like a giant clockwork. But it has its own free will at the same time, but it all still somehow connects together. And that's why our decisions affect others, why it's so important that we have to choose to be unselfish and do, unto others as we would have them do unto us. Because if we don't, when others are doing unto themselves, it's going to affect us. So we don't want to add to that any more than we want anybody else to. And you got to start with you, That's what me and David believe in. You can ask him yourself. If you want to talk to David, I'll leave my email that I've made for me and David. It's DLH dadandlad@gmail.com. If you want to, and I will help you get in touch with him so long as David agrees to it. If you want to help support him, I'm not going to just bug him with all these fans that want to talk to him for free. But if you want to support him, he has given his number and put his number out there and told me to do that. But I don't want people flooding him, So if you happen to find those videos, have at it. Otherwise, I'll only give it to you and set it up with you and make sure David's cool with it. And if you'll support him in some kind of way, like negotiate it, we'll negotiate it with David, $20 or something, or trade him something he wants. So that it can really support him. And I would just really highly recommend not supporting anything of David Liebe Hart's on the David Liebe Hart Chip the Black Boy channel. Either of those channels or one and the same. I think he has 2 of them. There may be more. I don't know. But those do not support David at all. Those support Jonah, and I believe it supports his heroin addiction as well. So we're helping kill him by enabling. We're enabling the toxic relationship that they're in, and we're enabling a serious drug habit that could kill Jonah. And I know Jonah hates my guts, and I don't hate him. I'm really, really, really angry at him. My feelings are very hurt. The way I used to work, even though he was a jerk to me, I still made money to support the both of them because I couldn't get away from him because he was blackmailing David. And if I didn't, it's like extortion. He was extorting me to fund him. But at first I was doing it willingly and giving him all the money until I realized that he really is conning David and stealing his money and stealing his image and using all his copyrighted material to support his own self and probably his drug habit and his lame musical endeavors that suck. Like, no offense, but they suck. Probably because, he has talent when he puts his mind to it. And especially when he does something positive, but I can tell a lot of it's drug induced. And I could tell at the show that I just thought he was tired and exhausted from being on tour because I wanted to see the best in things, I guess. I don't know. I thought we were friends, and I'm really loyal to a fault sometimes. And I believe that Jonah was my friend because he, got me to be friends with David and get to know David and let me be a part of putting a show together and all that. But really, I was just doing his work for him for free and paying, not just for free, paying him to do it. But he just did a really bad job for the show. It could have been it anyway. But he left without even getting the money, which is weird. And which I don't even think he deserved the money, but I didn't want David to be stiffed. So I made sure that they got the money, but David says he never got any of it. So, and that's just been the history between me and David, since 2019, September 16th, when I first met David for the first time in real life. He called me up the night before our show, was going to cancel our show, except he didn't tell me that. He just was complaining about this shitty thing that Jonah did involving some female fan that I guess I don't understand the whole deal, but he kind of cock-blocked David or something like that. And David called me upset and was going to cancel the tour because he was so mad at Jonah. And somehow I must have calmed him down, and he never mentioned canceling. Instead, he just talked to me for a while and calmed down, and then had to go do his show. And then he ended up coming in the next day. So to my show, that was when he was in Nashville. But he called me up and he told me he had some experience with the guy from the Big Bang Theory who was mean to him. The guy from the Big Bang Theory, the what is his name? The main funniest one. I can't think of his name right now, but this tall, skinny one, you know who I'm talking about. I'll think of his name later, but that guy, he hit on David, and David didn't reciprocate, and so he got kind of shitty with David, and was kind of mean to him, and David ended up not getting his full manicure. They were at some fancy manicure place in Nashville, and that guy happened to be there because he's from the South, apparently. Gosh, what is his name? I don't. Anyway, the guy, the skinny guy, the main guy from the Big Bang Theory. I don't know why I can't think of his name, but anyway, he's the funniest one in my opinion. But yeah, they had beef or something, and then Jonah, you know, stole his girl or something like that, stole David's fangirl, and so I consoled him, and then I met both of them, and Jonah just seemed really out of touch and not wanting to be there. I could tell. David was awesome. David did a great job. Jonah was just there because he had to be. You could tell. He wasn't enjoying himself. He didn't want to be there. He wasn't particularly... He says he was shy when I talked to him about it later, but... okay. I mean, I don't know what do we have to do, like, to... I don't know. Anyway, I think he was, looking back on it, I think he probably was on heroin, like David said, and was hoping to get back to the girl who had the heroin, which was the girl who, whatever, her name was Casper, one of Jonah's henchmen, fangirls of David, but really a henchman of David, not really a true friend of David at all. That, I don't know, was distracting Jonah. That's what David was saying, was Jonah was being distracted by her and he didn't like it. Jonah says David was jealous, and David says he wasn't jealous. He was just, Jonah was being unprofessional and not focused on work, which I tend to believe David, sorry, but I know David, he doesn't date fans, and the girls on heroin and stuff, like, I don't think he's jealous. He really was mad at Jonah for not doing a good job and acting high. And it's David's not in a safe situation right now, and he needs the money. So I'm begging you guys not to support that channel anymore. David, let's get him a new channel, okay? We will hire somebody. I will handle it. We will hire somebody to handle it. Whatever needs to be done for David to make the profit and David to have control over what is going on his own channel, not Jonah. Not filtered or censored through Jonah, and not the money funneled from Jonah to David, because David doesn't see it. And I think that we are actually harming Jonah by enabling him if we fund these things that he's doing, and we're helping keep this perpetual toxic situation going. So I'm just not going to stop talking about it until I know David is safe and sound and back in control of his own creative material and happy and safe, like he did for Monty Melvin, who he loves. He loves Monty Melvin and looks up to Monty Melvin, and he helped to make sure that Monty Melvin got the money from SAG-AFTRA or whatever that he should have gotten for the time that he was on the Bozo the Clown show. And he has not gotten the justice and the credit that he deserves. He has been blackballed from any images or stuff from the Bozo Clown show that you can look up. You can't find Monty Melvin anywhere. And the reason is because he integrated the Bozo the Clown show against their will, and David got to be a part of it thanks to Monty Melvin. And so David later on still out of devotion to because Monty Melvin inspired his comedy career. So he, you know, always remembered that and helped make sure that Monty Melvin got his money from SAG-AFTRA, and is you know, okay in his, you know, old age. And that's what I want to do for David. That's how I feel about David Liebe Hart, because there's something about him. You know what he told me at the show that he did for us, that I put together for September the 26th, 2019. When he came, he's very engaging with his audience. That's the most fun thing about him. And he was giving predictions for us, and I asked for a prediction, and he said that I would bring joy through comedy. That was my future, that I would bring joy through comedy in the audiences. And then he prayed for me that I would have a husband. I'd have that God would bring me a husband that would be a good provider and father figure for my children, because I'm a single mother, even though my children are adults now. But he was still worried that they need a father figure, and they do. I do need a husband, and that is a good provider, and my children do need a good father figure through me. But only the Lord will provide. I have not found such a thing as of yet, but may David's blessings come true upon me at the God appointed time. But anyhow, and may the same thing happen for David, because he asked me to do a tarot reading about that. And weirdly, what did come up was the Hierophant card, which is like the Pope, and it often does mean the church or marriage itself, like a legal contract between two people. And I was like, maybe, yes. And also and also that card, and before that, the Father card. The near future or advice card was the Father card. Not the Father card, the Emperor, which is the ultimate Father card, the Emperor card. And then that was the advice card. And then the future card was the Hierophant, which means the church or legal contracts, or, the conservative union, or the status quo. It can mean a lot of different things, but it often can mean marriage or a legal contract, but on a spiritual level, more so than just a legal contract. Although it could just mean legal, as in the time that these tarot cards were put together, the legal contracts were often, the church was involved. The church was involved with government back then, which is different from today. But so it depends on how you in tarot reading. It can all depend on the context, and I really didn't know what it meant, but I told him, I said maybe. But the advice is to be a father figure. I felt like it was saying maybe you're meant to be married to the church, be the father of a spiritual father to the world, because to lads and lasses who don't have dads, because he's the most ultimate, best father figure I know of in for the world. He doesn't have his own kids, so he's a dad and a lad to his fans, and he truly is. He always tries to be an example. That is like his sole purpose. He is carrying out Jim Henson's urgings and blessings to go out and do puppetry for Christian Science, because Jim Henson was David Liebe Hart's Christian Science teacher back in the 70s, before he got real big and famous, and I guess probably didn't have time to do Sunday school lessons anymore. And he gave David some of his puppets. David had to get some of those puppets changed because of copyright reasons, I believe, is what he told me. But he has some Jim Henson puppets that were given to him. They were given to him because they were the puppets used by the church in Christian Science when Jim Henson was doing the junior Christian Science lessons. And so all that junior Christian Science stuff that he was doing on that, I forgot the name of that channel in LA, but he hosted that channel and that showed the junior Christian Bible lessons program. That was all that was inspired from Jim Henson, who did that at his Sunday school church. And David's been trying to carry that out all these years through that. And that is his mission. He really, regardless of what your spiritual beliefs are, David's heart is so genuine that he believes that he has been gifted from aliens, that he was told before he was born that he was going to come to earth and that his job was to spread joy through comedy and puppetry and whatever. One of the things the blessing that he bestowed on me is what he feels like the aliens told him, that he would bring the joy of comedy and that he would go through racism in his life, but that he had some kind of special mission. And that's why he, has the fame that he has today, is because it's his job to tell the world about the Antichrist is coming and the aliens. The aliens are the angels and demons that are fighting war over our souls. I believe that my own self. So I'm, if it's a delusion, it's a folie à deux, because I believe it too. Anyway, so all right. So I'm going to end it with my song. For some reason, I couldn't put this on YouTube. I think it's because of the, I don't think it's the song. I think it's because of the anime thing that I had going up. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on now until I get that figured out for YouTube. I'm going to ask for copyright permission if if it really is an issue, but I think it's just an automatic thing, that because it's kind of like a parody commentary kind of thing, I think it counts. It should count as fair use, and it's not the main thing either. So I think it should count as fair use. If not, I'll just change the video. But I want you to hear my song that I didn't really make this about Jonah. I just made this because I was inspired, because there's a lot of men that think are, they suffer from LBS, little baby syndrome. And so I just kind of wrote this in frustration about those kind of guys, but it totally fits Jonah. So in retrospect, I might have unintentionally wrote it about him, not necessarily at the time thinking specifically about him, but in retrospect, I'm like, it probably was inspired by that some of this frustration coming out is inspired by this, because he's still harassing David and stealing from David, and it's none of my business, but it is my business, because when I see, first of all, I love David. I want to see more of his stuff out, but I don't want to have to go through David. And I don't like, Jonah, and I don't like I don't like David being exploited. And I don't like hearing about all the horrible things that David's dealing with just because he can't afford to live, or Jonah is prank calling him, tricking him, and trying to steal money out of his account, which is another thing that he does. All right, here's my song. Oh, also, the beat, the backtrack, I did not write that. That is, I mixed that together with from a song called Scary Gary by Kato Shoba. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. But I wrote the lyrics that are coming up. Not these lyrics that you're hearing now, but what's coming up. First things first, he wasn't really wild. He should have stopped before he started making it around. She got compromised with little books of pie. And don't assume that when she took you otherwise. Second mistake, and this one was fake. Coming at it like it's hard, but it's hard to stay awake. Third fatal error. Do you want to dare her? Can't kill the dead inside her, break a broken mirror. The picture knows she's right, and I think it's only right. You come to see what comes to those who wrong to do the right. Can't even remember that. Boy, it's gonna live a night. No more rest, this night is right. I'm gonna say it right and right. She's scared of me, even though they make me wanna hide. She can, you can tell by the smell. She been busy all night. Anyway, that's my fun little song that I made.
Yeah, Tim and Eric and
oh yeah, here's
Jonah Motion used to have something to put up that you take down everything.
This is just some of our beef
and down for my stuff. And I still want you to work with me, but I want you to work and put my stuff all back up around Christmas time.
This is stuff from
not comment about my politics.
When Jonah was throwing a tantrum back in.
Back up, all my merchandise back up.
Back in
around Christmas time when all this goes over. That's the first weekend and the second week in November.
I think it was like in August of 2020.
Comment about the experience I had with her so far.
Vera Drew.
The name about.
I'm not going to stop talking about it.
That's what Tim and Eric asked.
I'm not going to let them keep bullying him. If David wants to...
I want to still work with you, but they're going to make me put up a recording that I want you to take down everything. I don't want to do that.
They stole our Etsy account that was helping fund him outside of Jonah. They took it. They took it down. Stole it. Vera Drew and Jonah. I don't think Tim and Eric have anything to do with this. I think Vera Drew tells him that Tim and Eric say this stuff, or else Vera Drew is telling Tim and Eric stuff that's not true.
That's not true. I didn't want you to put my stuff back up, and I didn't want you to.
I never did put his stuff back up because Jonah just. He wants me to keep quiet about what Vera Drew said and did to him.
But don't put my name in it.
He wants me to tell, but then he doesn't. Then he wants me to tell stuff, but then he doesn't want me to put his name in it.
Just wait until everything cools down for a while. Okay.
All right. Well, I waited. I waited as long as I could wait. So this is my friend Matt Jones, who's a friend of David's. That he knows what's going on with this. He made this. We are going to make a show for David, a new one, without Vera Drew or Jonah. All right, so there we go. All right, that's my update for David Liebe Hart. I suggest don't support any of that stuff. Let's try to get David a new, either David take over his own channel or start him a new channel that he has access to, and his viewers have more say over what they get to see of David's, and the money actually go to support him, the artist, not this white boy who steals from him and exploits from him and makes him work for fucking peanuts or free. He makes them do all this work for free. He promises them money, but then he doesn't pay. He's a liar, and don't believe when he says that he should be getting less than half anyway. But he keeps saying that they split everything 50-50. That is a lie. David pays for the expenses of everything, and he's lucky if Jonah ever pays him anything, and he doesn't pay him the true half like he says. Besides the fact that David funds funds the stuff that they do together. Jonah's just exploiting him because David doesn't know how to do his own, social media stuff and internet stuff. It confuses him and overwhelms him, and he doesn't know who to trust because everybody, that he's tried to trust, steals from him. It's true. They all do. And so, I don't want him to feel that way about me. So, I feel like his fans need to rally together and have like a transparent, so that David can see what he's making and his fans can see what he's making. And David gets to have control over what he puts out, and nobody's allowed to just put out stuff in his name saying that, like Chip the Black Boy, and putting the suicide and the heroin stuff. There was some other video that was messed up that he put out there using Chip. Just this evil stuff that David is against. That is just so wrong, no matter what your political or religious views are. It is so wrong to take someone's like beloved puppet or, thing that they've, built an image for, a certain positive image for, and then make it, and then take that and puppet it into, say, evil things that go against everything that original creator, set up for him. And that is exactly what Jonah's done. And he's making money off of it for himself and not sharing it with David. So, and he's doing it against David's will, and he can't make him stop. So he could make him stop, but he doesn't have the courage to. So his fans are going to have to help give him the courage to, I feel like, or else, it's just going to keep happening. And all I can do is what I can do is tell the story from what I've been told firsthand from David, and what I've seen coming from Jonah and David. Jonah never tells the truth. But I've caught him in a lot of lies, and I've seen and I've experienced my own things from Jonah, him acting squirrely and shady. So I believe David over Jonah. Sorry, hands down. I've caught Jonah in too many lies, and I know David too well. He doesn't lie. He might misunderstand something. He might even exaggerate things or word things to where it makes him look better, but he doesn't flat out lie. It gets to him. He can't stand it. Anytime that Jonah keeps, that's what you heard a recording of him warning me that Jonah made him make a recording saying that he doesn't want to work with me, but it's not true, and to not believe it. So that is just messed up that he feels that afraid that he would do this kind of thing. But then his conscience bothers him enough that he's going to call me and warn me that Jonah got him to do that. But it's sweet. I'm frustrated at Jonah. I'm frustrated with David as well, but I understand that it's David is only acting out of duress and the stress that Jonah gives him every time he tries to break free from Jonah. And anytime someone comes along to try to help David do that, Jonah scares them off. And that's what he thinks he's done with me, and it's not going to happen. I do not scare off that easily, especially by a little bitch boy, which is what that song, I guess, is basically what I'm trying to purvey. Because he is fake. And, if he thought I was going to be his little henchwoman and help him like his little friend Casper, he's got another thing coming. I'm not a hoe, and I got dignity, and I genuinely love David Liebe Hart. Not even for what, I guess you could, for what he does for me, because he brings me joy just being himself. And I want to see more of that. And I'm genuinely love him for that reason. And you know what I'm saying? Like, Jonah hates that because he just exploits David. Doesn't really appreciate David and what David's about. In fact, hates everything David is about. He's extremely jealous of David. And he wants to be as popular as David, and he's just not, but the only popularity he can get is through David. So, it's just, I wouldn't even fault him for that, except he's censoring David and exploiting David. And that is where I have fault in it, because if he was genuinely helping David, which is what I thought was happening, he should get paid everything he deserves. But if he is sabotaging David and using David's image to make himself look cool and try to get chicks, which is what I think is what's going on, and ride off of his clout, and David's being harmed from it, or his career or image is being harmed from it, then yeah, I got a real big problem with that. I'm a capitalist. I have no problem with him making money, but I do have a problem with him trying to be, he's all this socialist, communist kind of like uber liberal political Democrat, and David's so not that. David's a libertarian like me, but he would be probably he's much more conservative. We'll say that he's much more conservative than Jonah is. David's even possibly more conservative than I am. And so Jonah doesn't like that and censors everything he says. And I think that's messed up, because he tries to put his own political spin on David and Chip and Jonah stuff, and it goes against what David really believes in. And every time David says what he wants to say, or I say anything or post anything of David saying what he wants to say or what I'm telling you now, Jonah tries to take it down. It's ridiculous. It's just, nobody should be harassed like that. And I didn't go into this trying to be enemies of Jonah, and certainly not Vera Drew. I don't even know her, but she threatened me, and she slandered David and slandered me, and both of them have been working together to sabotage my friendship with David. And I really, it's just, we had a good little thing going. We had built up a business. It was every time Jonah tried to stop us, we would do even better. No matter what he tried to do, until he took down that site. And I could get it back, but David told me to lay low, as you heard. He told me lay low, because something about Tim and Eric says, bullshit. I don't think Tim and Eric give two shits about it. It's Vera Drew tricking David into Tim and Eric said. Tim and Eric don't give two shits about what I do. I would be flattered if they really did say that, if that I really come up in their conversations. Either way, I'm flattered. Either it's a lie and Tim and Eric don't have anything to do with it. It's really just Vera Drew, and so or obviously I've made enough waves that even I'm being discussed by Tim and Eric. I mean, even if it's negative attention, it's attention. I don't know. Good publicity is, bad publicity is still publicity, unfortunately. We all know this. So whatever. I'll take what I can get in my little tiny channel that nobody pays attention to hardly, but it doesn't matter. The right people will see it. The people that actually care about David hopefully will see it, and not Jonah. And I'm sure Jonah and his minions, I'm pretty sure they spy on me on this channel, and that's okay. But it's wrong, man. It's wrong. And I'm going to keep talking about it until I know something's changed. And I'm not seeing the evidence of that. I see more of Jonah trying to use David to make money on his own channel, and David's not getting paid for it. And David's still living in poverty and barely making ends meet. I know for a fact he is. I had to help him apply for his disability. I had to help him apply for Social Security. I had to help him apply for food stamps. I had to help him with his taxes. Like, he is not making money, and Jonah is exploiting him. I'm serious. Like, I'm trying not to cry, man. It's wrong. It's elderly abuse. In fact, David asked me to call the Adult Protection Services, which I did, which which is probably some of the things that got the ball rolling to why they're harassing me, Jonah and them, because I told on him and Barra Drew. I told on Tim. I didn't tell on Tim and Eric, but I told that, this person works for Absolutely Production, and I told Absolutely Production on Barra Drew, and I think she got fired. Or laid off or something. I cannot say for sure it was because of that, but I'm pretty sure that had something to do with it. That set the ball rolling, at least, to get rid of her, because that made her a liability. She called David the N-word, and she sexually harassed him, and because he didn't give in to her advances, she called him effing N-word, and that she never wants to work with him again. And so when he called me upset, telling me that, he asked me to tell Absolutely Production, and I did, and she got in trouble. So that's why she hates me. That's why they team up against me, because they're trying to control David and steal from him, and I bust them out every time. And, I try to thwart them at every time they try to do that to him. And out of my own expense, I don't make any money at it. He has offered to give me money so many times, and I won't take it because I don't want anyone ever to say I'm doing that to him, because I legitimately just want David to get independent to where he has control. And I feel like, as his friend, I will watch over and make sure if anybody is trying to mess with that, they're going to have to go through me, because he doesn't have anybody. He doesn't have family that looks out for him. There's nobody looking out for him, man. So, I'm asking his fans that love him, help me help him. Like, it can't just be me. There's only so much that I can do here, and I'm running out of ideas, I only have so much strength. I only have 38 people on my own channel. Like, what can I do here? I don't have a big media thing. I could pay for that, which I'm willing to do, but I've got to make that money. I'm barely surviving my own self. So, I'm willing to do something. I've got a jewelry hookup. I'm a jeweler. I can, if you want to fund something, I can churn you out some badass high-end jewelry, custom, or if there's something in particular on the market that you see, it's a good chance I can get it for you, or custom make it myself. Either way, whichever you prefer. Certain brands I may not be able to, but good chance I will, because I've been in the business for a long time, and there's pretty much nothing I can't get, except maybe certain special brands that you have to buy like their whole line of stuff. But most things are not that exclusive. Most things I could get as a jeweler, and I've been doing Elvis Presley Enterprises appraisals for their museum or whatever for the last 8 years now, minus the last year. It would be 9, except last year nobody did anything, because that kind of stuff is where I'm non-essential, basically. So I'm really poor right now. I'm really struggling to make ends meet. I'm trying to refocus my life. I'm going back to school. I think I'm going to go into school for law. At least legal studies. And so I can help people like David legally, and do some activism and stuff that I really need to learn, I guess, the ways of the world in order to do it more effectively than I'm able to do as just a jeweler. So I study a lot, I research a lot, I know a lot of shit, but there's a lot of shit that I need to know that I got to go to get brainwashed at, Muggle school or whatever, and learn how the humans do their stuff, even though I'm not of this world. I am human, but this is not my home. My home is in heaven, and I'm just here doing God's work. But I need you know, I established a jewelry business and now they've taken that from me. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go back to school, use the money from the CARES Act to go back to school and get into government myself and make sure this kind of shit doesn't happen to me no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to take my job. I'm going to go in. I'm going to take their money. I'm going to learn their job, take their job, and then go back to doing this. I mean, doing my jewelry or whatever the fuck I want to do. Since they so rudely interrupted me from my job, causing me to be non-essential and all that. Anybody with creative jobs or certain non-essentials, you know, we're all just, you know, fuck us, right? Fuck us. As long as you, as long as you can feel like you're protecting yourself, having a false sense of security from catching a 99.97% survivable, fully recoverable flu virus. Fuck you too, you know? Anyway, so I'm going to end it with that. Y'all heard my song. Y'all heard what I had to say. I'm not going to shut up about it until I see a change. That's all there is to it. Peace. Salome. I hope I have better news about this the next time.